place to score the goal that won the game. You seem to have found this goal-scoring form at just the right time. You've timed your run.
Yeah, it's a good timing for sure. I always want to impact the game, and yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot, and helping the team as well. Yeah, it's what you are a football player for. So yeah, hopefully next week again, and you never know what's going to happen.
Well, Eric, it's not the result that you wanted, but is there a big positive difference for you from Monday?
Yeah, it is, but still it's disappointing, and I want to win. And it doesn't matter who is on the pitch. We have to win every game, and when you wear this badge, you have to give everything, and yeah, the demand is win games.
And again, it was a makeshift defence, a patched-up defence. How important is it to get defenders back for these crucial last two games and the cup final?
We talk already all season and about this. You want to have players who are have the competences to play there. Now we have to play players there in positions they are not used to, and then it's obviously that they make mistakes.
How will you watch Tuesday? I'm sure you will.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch tomorrow's game as well, like we always do, and we know what we need.
Well, I suppose, Martin, the most important thing from an Arsenal point of view is just to get the 3 points and get out of here. That's all that matters at this stage of the season.
Smash and grab. I think Arsenal, though, were more than that today. Really good professional performance. You know, if you want to be champions, we don't know if that can happen yet, but you're certainly in the mix. You've got to grind out these sorts of evenings, and I thought they were immense, particularly at the back. So, you know, to come here and win, whenever you win here, it's sort of, you talk about titles, don't you? Certainly in my era, and maybe we're talking about it this year as well for this group.
And that is why I think post-match Mikel Arteta was so keen to stress the mentality of his team.
Yeah, I think that's the thing maybe we were questioned last year. They didn't have the mentality to go all the way to the last game of the season. Now they do. It felt at times today, Mark, I was a wee bit nervy at times, but rightly so. At 1-0, anything can happen, a slip over, a mistake, and you know, Man United get back into the game. But I think overall they deserve to get the 3 points.
Those nerves are understandable, aren't they?
Well, of course they are. And you think of the history of this fixture, and I thought it was weighing a bit heavy on the team. They know if they can get the job done, the next one's Everton at home, put that pressure back onto Man City, and you could just feel that tension tingle in the air. And it was a long game for me. Watching when Arsenal went in front, it was nervy, but I just thought the way they were defending, those two central defenders were quite magnificent today.
And we'll come on to them in a little while. As far as the Arsenal goal is concerned, look, Casemiro will get hammered for being about 20 yards behind the play.
Yeah.
And you will do that as well, I'm sure, both of you. But there's a bigger picture to the Arsenal goal.
Well, I look at the build-up. You know, the manager probably has to take a bit of blame as well, because you set your team up. One of the easiest things in training, I think, is your natural build-up, because we know Onana likes to play out from the back. So if you show the piece where he starts, you know, he gets the ball back, and then you want to see what's the setup. I mean, Johnny Evans is the left side centre. I'm not 100% sure where Johnny's going. He's kind of shuffling away to lose the midfield. I mean, the ball ends up at Dalot here now, Mark, at the end, but I don't think they're set up at all to play out. So then Onana's got an option to make. Does he go a bit longer, maybe to Howland? But he goes to the left back, Dalot, and he's facing the wrong way, and it's a cheap giveaway, you know. It's a cheap giveaway, and then that's just the start of things to come. Again, you highlight Johnny Evans in the middle. Normally you'd see a Pep Guardiola team, they sprint into a sort of left back position, and then Casemiro has dropped deep. Now Onana's got three options, you could say. I think you can see Wan-Bissaka at the bottom screen pointing to go long, because Arsenal have got the press on at this point, and it's just playing into their hands, a high press, and they lose the ball again. And now this is the goal. So you see Casemiro knocks it back. Now Johnny Evans, in my opinion, should drop deep to the left side. He's pointing to Dalot. Then he crosses over Amrabat, and it's all a mess. At this point now, Onana's not got very many options. So what he does, he goes long. They lose the ball, and obviously keep an eye on Casemiro. We know he's not a centre half, but at the same time, at any level of football, you have to sprint up and get in line with the rest of your back four. So he's so deep. Now Havertz is onside by a country mile, because Casemiro's nowhere near it. And now we take a look at Wan-Bissaka at the bottom of the screen as well. Trossard, he never gets across Trossard at all to get a block on to try and defend that back post. And it's all too easy for Arsenal.
Can I put a theory to you as a centre-half, Martin, which is that it's irrelevant, isn't it, whether you're a centre-half or not? Mm-hmm. If you're either a professional or amateur footballer, you know if you're that far behind, you have got to get out. Don't you?
It's schoolboy stuff. And it's remarkable. He's not a specialist central defender. We saw that against Crystal Palace the last time out.
But that's just not getting out.
Well, now they've got to be some energy, but there's not even any of them, any of the defenders, urging him to get right up. Now, of course, the ball goes back in, and then Wan-Bissaka, look, it's awful defending. So they're the basics, and that's why we look to Ten Hag, and we say, okay, what information are you stitching into the players? You've had a chance to reflect on the Palace game where Casemiro, top player, but he's not a central defender. So change that. And I think the importance is the partnership of your central defenders. And Arsenal showed that today. If you've got strength in that position, then you've got a platform to build from.
And just before we get, I don't want to labour this point, but surely you don't need to be told by your manager to push up. I mean,
the thing about that goal, Mark, as well, if it was the last 10 minutes and he was leggy and he was tired, but it's 20 minutes into the game, so it's not like he's tired at that point. He should be sprinting up. But I think you said off air, at any level of football,
it's knowledge.
You've got to get up.
Desire, knowledge. Get out, join your colleagues, edge of the box, and then
basic. It's really, really basic. Even from a centre midfielder, a defensive midfielder, he should squeeze the pitch.
So much of Arsenal's success this season has been built on their defence, actually. Yes, they are thrilling going forward, but Saliba and Gabriel have played together 33 times this season. They are solid as a rock as a duo.
Yeah, Saliba, Arsenal lost this time last year in the run-in, and I think that partnership is really key. They've been immense, absolutely immense. Gabriel is sort of very physical player, and Saliba is that silky player at the back. And every time the ball went in, they cover each other really well. It's a real togetherness now. Look at Saliba there, seeing the danger. Saliba again, look, it's the vice-like. They just strangle you, suffocate the forwards. Again, they get bodies around. Gabriel, I think they enjoy actually playing together and forming that partnership, and it really is starting to look special. This one's impressive. Saliba doesn't come out. He drops off. The cover's around him, and look how well that he deals with this. Never in danger, assured, and just gets rid of it. And then again here, for me, this is stepping in. This is the top. This is so classy. To see him travelling with the ball, Arsenal under a lot of pressure at that point. Again, the same situation, wants to go forward, doesn't want to go back to his keeper, and it just releases that pressure. And then I think they know that there's no way through. This one probably sums up Saliba best of all, who I think has been one of the players of the year. And look, he waits for his time, and then puts his weaker foot in, strikes just at the right time. Brilliant, really. And then Gabriel as well, not to be outdone. Look at the way he just swats.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You will both know the importance of having a settled defensive partnership, whether it's in front of you like Shay or when you're part of it.
Yep, and for me it's that, you could call it a diamond. I need my goalkeeper behind me, but obviously Declan Rice in front is sniffing out, putting up foot. He also was immense, but they're such a platform for Arsenal to build on. And they get that defensive shield up, chappers. Everybody behind the ball, edge of the box. It's like the Thames barrier. Could have done with it here today. What's your local river up here, chappers?
It's the Manchester Ship
Well,
Canal,
there you go.
Martin.
We might get that
It's filling up at the minute.
You're not wrong. We better get out of here quick.
You might get thrown in it on the way out. You never know.
No, but he makes a really good point about that. Raya's got the Golden Glove, obviously the most clean sheets in the Premier League this season, but them two centre-halves, unbelievable. And you mentioned Declan Rice. Let's not forget the job he does as well. Another thing you say about Man United, they haven't had that. They've had so many different partnerships this year. 14 different partnerships. And Arsenal, the two main guys at the back have been kept fit. And what Martin just showed there, absolutely brilliant.
This roof's nearly as leaky as Manchester
I was
United.
going to say, I wouldn't expect shelter from the roof here at Old Trafford. So now it moves on to Manchester City and their game at Tottenham, and the pressure is back on them.
The pressure's on them, of course, chappers, but they've been there before. They've ran the race the last three times, of course. They can make Premier League history by one of the 4 times. Of course, 4 times Premier League champions, never been done before. And watching the game yesterday at Fulham, they were so in control. I think I was more nervous actually watching than it seemed that the players on the pitch. They just oozed confidence. They just knew the goals were coming. I mean, Guardiola was brilliant at left back. He scored a couple of goals and just
You're making it sound like it's no problem.
Well, it is no problem. It feels like, I even met some Man City fans yesterday on the way down. It was like they're more nervous about Fulham, and then Fulham have just got swatted out of the way. And now obviously people looking at the run-in, the toughest game everyone sort of said was Tottenham away, second last game of the season. And can Tottenham do their favours Arsenal a big favour, of course?
That would be unique if they could do that. I was at Craven Cottage yesterday, and they did play like champions, but they're not champions. Arsenal are making it really very difficult. So it's over to Spurs. Let's see if they can do us a favour.
They obviously don't have a hurdle to get over in the same way that Arsenal did here. So that changes, as Shay says, because they've been there, done it. That does slightly change their mentality.
But also they're not relying on anybody else. They win all their games. They know they're champions. So we're now relying for somebody else to slip up. Ironical, the last 3 games of the season for City are against London clubs. So let's see. There's West Ham to come as well. But Arsenal, the most important thing is Arsenal making this difficult for City, and that Pep's not sitting there with a bottle of red wine tonight as a champion. Arsenal are taking it right to the wire.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, when I was a kid at Blackburn, they won the league. And I remember the last game of the season, they went to Anfield, and Liverpool beat them 2-1. And I think Jamie Redknapp scored a free. Didn't know to celebrate, and the crowd as well was all really quiet within Anfield. It'll just be interesting.
Small things as well, where probably this time last year, Arteta was probably jumping out of his technical area, desperate for the win, showing all, giving it all that, which makes, and then that transmits to the players. Today, he would have been fluttering inside because it's all about the win, but he looked calm. That's where I think Tim's saying, like, he's learnt a lot from last season.
Well, they're getting better every season. Just will it be enough? Let's have a look at the goal. There was a lot of chat about Casemiro after the Crystal Palace game, and this is quite difficult to watch. This, isn't it?
It's
lazy.
Lazy.
A man who's been as brilliant as him, not to sprint out, Dom.
It's lazy. It's lazy, Mark. That's all it is.
So he's played Havertz onside by not sprinting out.
He doesn't even do too well from the cross, and I think if you're Wan-Bissaka as well, this is where he's got to really bust the gut now. Go on, go and sprint. You're only talking 5 yards to get level with Havertz.
He knows Havertz is there. He'll be seeing him peripherally.
And Havertz knows he's there.
Yes,
because he's
Havertz had a look.
But that's where he should be, probably a yard deeper. But play in that position, and then Havertz is offside. The whole move's killed. It's dead.
But he compounds it, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then I even think Wan-Bissaka, you've got to check your shoulders and look where Trossard. You must smell as a player. We're always checking our shoulders. You must smell and you must see that yellow shirt, that bright yellow shirt. You must smell that danger. Great run from Trossard. That's what makes the goal. But it's Havertz being onside and Casemiro being lazy, not putting the effort in to play him offside. It's so simple.
I think it's really good play from Havertz as well, because he sees where Casemiro is. He doesn't want to go too far towards the halfway line. No need, because he knows he's strolling out of there. So he just keeps himself just onside. But then when he picks the ball up, he hasn't got far to go to the byline. I don't like to be critical of Onana because I think he's had a decent season. He's one of the positives what have come out of Man United season. But Raya would have took that cross. He would have read that cross. He would have been pouncing on it. He would have helped the defenders. I agree. Wan-Bissaka's got to do better. So has Casemiro. Comedy of errors from Man United. Looked from there on that they would go on and take the game away from United, but didn't work out like that. Not because Man United were so good, it's because Arsenal just protected. This sort of performance is like the Invincibles used to do. It was almost like, we've got a game won, we don't need to win it again. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. That reminded me of that great team, what Arsenal had in that Invincible season.
What about Garnacho then? Because he's been a bright spark this season. It was really interesting watching the game with you. Tell everybody what you were saying to me in terms of when you have that much pace, sometimes you need to slow yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticise him too much because the young kid's been brilliant and he's played so many minutes this season. But what he's got to try and find in his game is that intelligence when to slow down.
Yeah.
If you think of Adama Traore, who's one of the quickest in the Premier League, he runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Garnacho's starting to do the same thing. He runs as fast as he can. And then he either gets knocked off balance or he's getting crowded out 2v1s. Sometimes you've got to slow down, find another red shirt, just pop it off. You can't take everyone on all of the time.
And here, take it on. You
take another couple of yards.
Yeah.
No one's closing
That was
down.
actually almost the best chance, wasn't it?
Right, then once he gets away, this is the very few times Arsenal allowed him to get in behind. But then find a red shirt.
So good. Saliba, so good.
Again, I'm not criticising him because he's a young kid that's going to get so much better. But look, it's 100 miles an hour. It's fast. He's electric.
Yeah.
But look, he's losing his balance.
Yeah. Do you know what he wants, Don? I mean, I agree. I think he's got a lot of development to do. Hopefully they keep holding, which they do. He's been a positive this year. But the Arsenal defenders hardly ever go to ground.
You wouldn't
Stay
dive
on
in,
their
would
feet.
you?
Yeah. You don't dive in because the boy wants you to. Because he takes any touch. He goes to ground far too easy. But like there, he's looking for a foul there. It's not a foul. He's just nudging him off the ball. It's clever defending. But they don't go to ground. They're taught how to defend. That is what Mikel wants. He wants composure in their defending as well as when they're controlling the football. Brilliant, Arsenal.
By the way, it was a good thing the game finished when it did, because you probably just saw that last shot there when Garnacho hit it wide, how much it was raining. It was chucking it down by the end, and Old Trafford needs a refit. We all do. And it was pouring off, wasn't it? It was running down the...
Game would have been abandoned.
Chris Foy, who's gone home because he's got nothing to do, Chris said it would have been abandoned. The ball would not have been able to roll. Yeah. Goodness knows when they would have fitted that in. Right, come on then, let's have a bit of fun. Tottenham to do Arsenal a favour. That's what everybody wants. The league wants somebody else to win it.
Are you now a Tottenham fan? Well, you are, because I've seen you singing upstairs Tottenham songs.
I've seen Glenn Hodler text going,
Let me tell you, right, when I was growing up, we was red or white in North London. My dad, all of a sudden, for the first time ever, is a Tottenham fan. And he wants to go to the game and
he wants to go, does he?
And this is incredible. I mean, I can't tell you how incredible this is, but there will be no Tottenham fans in that stadium who want Tottenham to win. And it's strange because Tottenham still have their own prize to go for.
Completely. Particularly if Liverpool were to win tomorrow night against Villa.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be very difficult. But like you mentioned that game when we went to Old Trafford, Les Ferdinand scored for us, you know, and looked like we've done Arsenal a favour by beating Man United. Well, we scored very early. And the Tottenham fans who travelled always travel well in their numbers. None of them celebrated. The whole ground went quiet.
So
it was the first and only time Les Ferdinand scored at Old Trafford.
No one
celebrated.
What's the atmosphere going to be like then? Eerie?
It will be very eerie.
Yeah.
Listen, there'll be little sections who don't really understand and they just want their team to win at all costs. But it will be strange.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing, isn't it?
It'll be brilliant. I want to see Dad Sherwood with a Tottenham shirt with Sherwood on the back.
You could see
He's the only one.
He's the only one.
You could see 60,000 fans cheer when Man City score.
This is how it should be football. In all seriousness, you know, football is so tribal. I completely get it. No Tottenham fan wants Tottenham to win.
It would be the same.
But the Tottenham players, Tim, some of them are playing for their futures here. They've got to ignore that.
Like we was.
Yeah, exactly.
We never give a fault in that dressing room.
No.
No one ever mentioned we could do Arsenal a favour here. We just wanted to win that football match to beat Man United. We knew it was a huge game. The eyes of the world are on it, as they will be on Tuesday night. And it's really important that they play. And they want to be at that great club of Tottenham.
Course.
They want to play for their futures. They want to impress
That's the sort of game.
Yes.
That's the sort of game you play for the name on the back of your shirt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing for yourself. You're playing for pride.
Absolutely. You convince Ange Postecoglou, who has talked about a big churn this summer. I'm not going to be in that churn. I'm staying here next season and playing some sort of European football. Yeah. But no one in the Tottenham stands will be cheering a Tottenham goal.
There you go. Eric Ten Hag remaining, well, remarkably upbeat, you'd say, right?
He has to be, and he's an experienced manager, and certainly not easy getting interviewed after a game where it's another defeat, and the stats for this team are so bad in terms of the records, defeats, where they are on the table. You know, their struggles in Europe. Yeah, they've got a cup final coming up in a few weeks. So it's a tough interview, and he's trying to stay positive and. You know, there are tough questions he's been asked about, you know, the players behind him, and is he tactically up to it? And, you know...
Do you think he is?
Tactically up to it? Yeah, I'd like to think so, and I think there has been genuine problems at the club. The injuries, and he mentioned the back four, and I think he's pretty honest with that side of it. But the more games you're losing, and when you're 8 in the table, yeah, I suppose you end up losing that belief. But it doesn't mean to say you'd sit here. I'd never sit in the studio and think, I think a manager should lose his job or anything like that. I hope he's given more time and they get to the summer, they can regroup and restructure the club or whatever that might be. But there's huge problems at the club. But I hope he's given that chance to get things right. Because last year there was some positives. Just, you know, we have to be honest with that. And they have a cup final coming up, and if they manage to beat Man City, it's going to be very, very difficult. But there's huge challenges he's facing, and he's under huge pressure.
What's your take on it, Wayne? They are 32 points off the top now. They've lost 14 games, the most in any Premier League season. Should Eric Ten Hag be under scrutiny? Should his job be in question?
I think anyone who's Manchester United manager is under pressure, because obviously it's a huge club, and when you're losing games and in the way that the losing games at the minute is there's going to be big questions asked. And I said this a few weeks ago, I think the players have to really look at themselves, because when you've got your manager doing an interview and he's talking about attitude and players' attitude not being right to play for Manchester United, that is a massive insult. If I see my manager saying that, then there's no way I'd just let that ride till the end of the season. And it looks like some players are just trying to get to the end of the season, and that's my personal opinion. And so I feel for him in that way, but ultimately it's his job and to make sure the players are right.
So is it your feeling that perhaps some of these Manchester United players are not playing for this manager anymore?
Well, if they are, I don't think they're showing it very well. I think the performances, there's some very good players in that squad, and the performances are way below par. And as we look at the injuries they've picked up, and some of them players can play. Some of them players can play with
the injured players?
Yeah, 100%.
That's quite a big claim, that. You're saying that some Manchester United players who we're not seeing out there now are fit enough to be in that, and that's their choice.
You've got European Championships coming up, you've got an FA final coming up. It's easy for players to, you know, because they're getting a little bit of stick now, it's easy for players to like stay out for a little bit and then come back towards the final and get themselves ready for the European Championships. And you've seen it, I've seen it myself over the years. So I just think the players who are being injured, they're not filling themselves with any credit at the minute, and the manager's going to take all the stick for that.
What if that was true, Roy?
Well, obviously that's not a good sign. No, you'd always hope players who are carrying injuries and are desperate to get back playing football. That's what you'd hope. There's always a worry. There's always a few players at every club, I think, that can drag their heels with an injury, and you might say to a player, you're out for 3 or 4 weeks, and that's the length of time will take. But other players, generally players I've played with, if someone gives them a length of time they're going to be injured, they would say, I'll try and knock a week or 2 off that, and I want to get back playing for Man United or wherever club they're at. So that's always a worry. But I have to say, I think that goes on at lots of football clubs. There's lots of players out there at certain stages of the season when they have an injury or they're lacking confidence and they're out of it, they're not in a hurry to get back in the team. I think that's obvious, and that happens at lots of football clubs.
What's your take on this from a sort of outside perspective? If Manchester United want the best chance of success moving forward, we know they're changing from the top all the way through, would you have Erik ten Hag as your choice?
It reminds me of Men in Black, if I'm being honest. He starts talking, presses his button on his pen, and it finishes. And I'm sitting here now thinking, ain't that bad, is it? Weren't that bad? It was shocking. It was like, they've just had 145 touches in the final third, had 2 shots on target. The 2 shots on target, Casemiro had one from 45 yards, which I would have saved. So it's not good enough. You can't lose 9 games at home. This is Man United. I mean, you can have 10, 11 injuries. Luton have had 10, 11 injuries. Chelsea have got 10, 11 injuries. To big players as well, Chelsea, like Reece James, people like that who, whose first choice is the captain of the club. And they're not playing, and Chelsea are still going to finish above them. Newcastle will come here this week and win. I don't care how many of them players get fit next season. There's no way they are finishing above Arsenal next season. Not a chance. And I'll have another tattoo as well. No chance. No chance. They won't. No chance. They're 30 points behind. But they'll have little phases, Roy, where they'll win 4 or 5 games on the trot. But it'll keep on coming back. They won't. Like, it worries me today. Martinez, I heard you say that he wanted to play and he's not playing. 15 staff out there today when we was doing our thing. They were warming up. 15 staff. There was just as many players as staff. Many staff as players. If I want to play, I want to play. The physio ain't telling me I'm not playing, or the geezer, because like he says, oh, don't play him, he's like, whatever. I want to play. I played over 700 football matches I played. If I played 100 games at 100%, I'd be shocked. I would be shocked if I went out there and I thought, buzzing today, everything's good. I was having injections, I was taking tablets. I wanted to play football. I wasn't going to listen to someone else tell me that I can't play. I want to play. And this is the problem. Everybody else tells everybody else to play. The young lad, not being horrible, he's had an injury. If I'm not playing today and I'm the centre half...
Talking about Willy Camboire.
Willy Camboire. If I'm today and I'm sub and I'm centre half and I'm playing behind Johnny Evans, Casemiro... What's the point in being here?
But you ask us, do we kind of have the belief in the manager? But we're not working with him. The biggest worry is in the dressing room. The training ground, what it's like before the game. Are they looking at their manager, the players, even the experienced players, and looking at the manager and going, yeah, we feel you can get us over the line and drag us over the line.
Do you think they are?
Well, the evidence is not there. With the stats and the table and the amount of losses and the type of performances, and when they do go under, not necessarily today, but they've gone under in games, and they've given up 2, 3, 4 goals very, very quickly. So you're looking, they're lacking that belief and that sometimes that mentality to play for Man United. So if the players are not looking at the manager going, oh, listen, we're 100% behind you. You'd always get 1 or 2, of course, who would have their doubts because they might be out of the team or trying to get her. But if you've got 8, 9, 10 players who are doubting the manager, then you're in huge trouble.
Do you think winning the FA Cup saves Erik ten Hag?
And I personally hope they do give him time, because I think there's a lot of problems at the club. Recruitment, is massive, and it hasn't been good enough throughout the years. So I do think he gets time to do it right. And but we've seen before. We've seen that was part of the FA Cup final when we won it in 2016, and Louis van Gaal lost the job. So never know.
Well, let me ask you this then, Wayne. Manchester United, if they finish 8th, will miss out on Europe unless they win the FA Cup, and that would be the second time in 30 years that's happened. But actually, is there an argument that might be a positive moving forward?
No, for Manchester United, you want to be playing in all the competitions, the best competitions, and obviously they can't make the Champions League, but up to play in Europe is massive. You want to.
We're not talking about Champions League, though, are we? We're talking about potentially the Conference League.
Yeah, but it's still my last ever game for Manchester United. We won the Europa League, and that's still something I have a lot of pride in doing. So you can only win the competitions you're in, and of course, for United fans, for players, for staff, they want to be in the Champions League. They're nowhere near that at the minute.
But then again, they were in that this year, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were terrible. Last year we were praising them, going, well, they've managed to get into the Champions League. But there's no good for a club as big as Man United being in the Champions League if you've got absolutely no chance of winning. I know there's a financial side to it, that the club need to be involved in it. But I can't sit there and go, it's a positive to finish 8th and be out of Europe. How can you, what kind of message does that send to your players, to your supporters, that, oh, we'll regroup? It's a setback, and great clubs go through difficult spells, and United are having a difficult spell, no doubt about it. But I don't see any positives in finishing 8th. And then on top of all that, you look at the points totals, but then the goals to be -3 or 4.
Yeah.
Man United is just...
I didn't think in my lifetime I'd see this. I didn't think I'd see it.
Well, there never has been a negative goal difference for Manchester United.
Yeah, but even 8th, I mean 8th in the league. This is like this is still like sitting here today. This is the big, in my opinion, the biggest club in the world. You know, still one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's not the biggest team in the world. I mean, if they beat Man City in the FA Cup final, looking at it at the moment, looking at the last few results, looking at the Palace, he should get knighted. He should get knighted. I'm not exaggerating. He should get knighted because it would be a miracle. It would be a miracle if they beat Man United. I know Wigan have beat them and teams like that, but Man United will go after them. And at the moment, the way they're playing, they could do what they did to Watford.
Even when they're lined up today, you're looking at the lineups and you're looking at the Man United team and you're looking going, like, every team must look forward to playing United. It doesn't mean they're going to beat them. They still have to turn up, and still it can be achievement beating Man United. But the better teams must look at this United team at the moment, without the players, you know, the important players who might be injured, and looking going, listen, there's no presence about them. There's no fear involved in this United team. They're a really bang average team now. And again, we always go back to it. The table doesn't lie.
How many Man United players would get in the Arsenal team today before kick-off? Not one. Not one.
Well, we're back here on Wednesday when they take on Newcastle. So it's not all over yet, this race for Europe for Manchester United. Then they go to Brighton on the final day. Roy and Wayne will be back with us on Wednesday as well. And Paul will be in a North London tattooist parlour.